So here you go. This is a nice southwestern style chicken fajita recipe. We have some poblanos and onions over here. These wonderful chicken breasts that have been marinated and then grilled up. Pico de gallo, guacamole, some queso fresco, sweet peppers and cilantro, and right now I'm ready to go at it. All I need is to get me some tortillas and it's time to eat. Well, hello! Welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. On this episode, we're going to be making some chicken fajitas. Now, chicken fajitas are a delight and they're enjoyed all over the United States. But I'm going to show you how we like to do it in Texas. I'm going to show you some southwestern flavors and a neat way to cook up chicken fajitas, and you're going to impress everybody that tastes these. So, we're going to get into the right thing to smoke with, the right thing to marinate with, and all these wonderful ingredients that we have to work with. And we're going to make some of the most exotic, beautiful, and tasty fajitas you've ever eaten. Come over this way. Let's go over all of our goodies. Now, of course, our dish is based on chicken, so I'm going to use some basic chicken breasts here. We're going to flatten these out a little bit. We're going to season them up just right and marinate them, and they're going to be unbelievable tasting. Now, with that, of course, you have to have the right vegetables and all the other goodies that go along with it. I'm going to be making a pico de gallo and some guacamole to go with this, but other things that you normally would put with fajitas, you would see bell peppers and onion. Well, frankly, I think bell peppers are boring, and the regular white or yellow onion is a little bit boring. So we're going to use a red onion on this, and I've got some poblano chilies out here instead of bell peppers. These have a lot better flavor to them, way better flavor to them, than a bell pepper ever could hope to have. So grab some of these poblanos if you can. Sometimes in grocery stores they're mislabeled. Some people call them anchos, some people call these pasillas. They're not, they're poblanos, okay? And they're delicious. Now grab some of those. I have some sweet peppers down here, and I'm going to take these. I don't plan on really cooking these up. I'm just going to slice rings out of them so they can be used raw, right in those fajitas. We have some tortillas. You can use flour or corn. I like corn. It's a little more genuine article kind of thinking, and it's the preferred item in Mexico. And as far as who likes them in Texas, it's about 50-50 here as far as who likes corn versus who likes the flour. And I get that information because I've talked to some restaurateurs to find out, you know, how much they sell of each, and they say it's about half and half. And that out of several of them, if I hear that, well, I believe it. I have here some queso fresco. Queso fresco is simply fresh cheese. This is, if you were to take something like ricotta and press all of the whey out of it so you only had curd, and we'll give it some time to firm up there, have it a little bit lightly salty. That's what you have here. It's delicious and fantastic if you want a unique twist for your fajitas. Why put English cheese on there when we can put Mexican cheese on there? Now for that marinade that we're going to be doing, back here I have some spices. Now the spices that I have are cumin, cayenne, paprika. And then of course back over this way I have salt, and we have lime juice. Now we're going to be marinating this in a combination of those spices and the lime juice. And it doesn't take long. An hour's worth of marinating once we pound these out is very good for chicken. It'll be sufficient for this dish. So let's get right on with making some wonderful fajitas. We have to get started on that meat and get it marinated. Now here I have one of my chicken breasts inside of a bag. You can use a bag or a couple of pieces of cooking plastic, you know, the cooking wrap. You can use aluminum foil if you want, or just do it open on the chicken. I do like to have it covered because it's a little less messy this way, the easier cleanup. Now I need to pound this out. You have a tip here that's quite thin and a center portion which is quite thick, and I don't want this to be overcooked while this becomes cooked properly, or this to be undercooked while this becomes cooked properly. That's just not cool, so I need to sort of even it out a little more so I get even cooking throughout. Now when I am cooking something like this up, and pardon me, I've got a little dirt on my hands from my grill. When I'm cooking something like this up, I will pound this out, and there's several ways you can do that. You can use the heel of your hand if you have nothing else, and this does work, okay? So you just be patient with it and work it out like that. Another way, you have a meat mallet. Those are okay. I think the heads on them are a little bit small, and it makes it difficult to use. My favorite is to use a small pan like this. You can use the bottom of a bowl, a big pan, anything that you want to pound that out with. Now, I am not so interested in being worried about injuring or tearing the chicken. Reason being is this chicken is going to get sliced before it is served, so that's not so much of an issue. Well, as you can see, we're getting a nice uniform thickness. Now, once I get it nice and uniform like that and it's sort of even all over, I'm finished with it. That chicken breast is ready to be marinated. Now, I'm going to do each and every one of my breasts this way. Now, let's get on with our marinating. Now, when you're doing a fajita marinade, there's two basic common ways of doing marinating for fajitas. One is an overnight beer marinade. Wonderful. However, not so good for chicken because it just overtakes the flavor and you can't taste anything else. It also over tenderizes it, and it turns into kind of a mess. You won't like it. So I recommend, when it comes to chicken, do this shorter version marinade. It has a good flavor to it. Now, I'm going to show you how to marinate one of these breasts, just one side, but what we're going to be doing is covering both sides with the seasoning and with our lime juice. So first, take your lime juice and cover well the top of that breast. Don't worry about what runs off, because we're going to have plenty of juice in the bottom of this when we're finished. Some salt to begin with. There we go. Now, don't worry about if that looks like too much salt, because this is going to mostly get washed off, but it will make the juices heavier and they will push into the meat more readily. Now, I have my cumin. Cumin is wonderful. It's a seed that provides a nice, dry, earthy flavor to it. It's very good. Cayenne. Cayenne brings a good chili flavor, but also heat. Now, be careful with this. If you don't want it to be very hot, then use very little cayenne. If you do want it to be hot, use a lot of cayenne. If you don't want any heat at all, omit the cayenne, okay? Now, if you'll notice, I'm using a moderate amount on this one. Me, I like mine kind of warm. And then I have also my paprika. Paprika, wonderful chili flavor, really warms it up, delicious, and fantastic when you're marinating like this. So now all I have to do is turn this over, marinate the other side of it, and we're off and running. I'll be doing all of my breasts that way. If you would, do yours the same. And we'll need to turn these about once every 10 minutes during the marinating cycle. Okay? Let's remember that we're going to be marinating our meat for approximately an hour. You can go a little longer on that if you want a stronger marinade. It doesn't hurt. But we're going to be cooking it for at least an hour, marinating it for at least an hour, and you want to turn your meat once every 10 minutes during that. Now, you will notice when I turn this over, it has lost that pink color that it had, and it has started to turn this whitish color. Now, what's happening here, so you will know, this is being cooked actually. Right now, the acid in that lime juice is cooking the meat. Now, don't worry about that. It's not going to hurt or affect anything. It's going to still taste wonderful. But that's what's happening there, so you don't have to worry about that being injured or damaged or anything. That white look, that is strictly, let me clean this off a bit, that is strictly the acid doing what it's supposed to do, which is tenderizing this meat and flavoring it, affecting it. It's one of the reasons lime juice is used. Okay, now if you want, sometimes when you turn these, you can also take some of this, spoon it up, and just put it right up onto those breasts. Do that if you want, but remember, about every 10 minutes, flip them over, and that way we get a good, even marinade. Now, I'm going to go ahead and set up our grill. If we're going to have some fajitas that taste like what you're going to have in Texas, you're going to need mesquite, folks. You know, we have some hickory trees that grow here, but mesquite grows all over this state. It's native, and it grows like a weed here. In fact, it is considered a weed tree, and they pay a lot of money to get those things eradicated from the land. So, it has a wonderful flavor. It's an extremely hard wood, and it is a unique flavor. And if you want to taste that real kind of Texas fajita flavor, you need to go ahead, get you some mesquite, and smoke with it. Now I'm just going to put some on my smoker's tray back there. Put my grate over this. And when I heat that up, it's going to provide just enough smoke to give us a wonderful flavor in those chicken breasts. I'm not looking to smoke the breasts, I just want to add a little smoky flavor as I cook them. Now, it's time for us to go ahead and burn the skin off of these chilies before I go to slicing them up. And I do that because if I were to go ahead and just make strips out of this to make slices and cook those up, the likelihood that a skin releases into someone's mouth and then they end up pulling that out as a whole long thin skin is just mortifying to me, and I don't want that to happen to anybody that eats my food. So I'm going to go ahead and burn off the skin off the outside of this, and basically all you have to do is blister it so that it releases from the flesh, and then you can peel it off or you can wash it off. And usually I go a little bit further. I just go ahead and char it and then wash it and move right on to the next stage. I find the best way to do this is over fire. If you have a gas stove, perfect. If you have a torch, this will work in a pinch. If you have a grill, you can put it on the grill, whether it's a wood fire, charcoal, electric grill, or if you have a gas grill. It'll work on any of them because it puts out the right heat. That was my timer telling me it's time to turn over my meat. So let's go ahead, turn on this, and I'm going to get these right onto my flame. They're going to crackle and pop, and I'm just going to scorch them all the way around. I'll turn my meat over. This beautiful odor gets released in the air when you do this, and I'm starting to get a little bit of blistering with the green there. And when you get that blistering, that's what we're looking for. These things really stand up to the heat well, so don't be afraid to get them right in the fire. It's not going to hurt. Put that on the back burner and get it cooking. There's that crackling. That's the skin blistering and popping. If you have none of the items that I mentioned before, try putting these under the broiler and an electric broiler, just enough to cause them to start blistering all the way around, and then place them into a plastic bag and seal it, and give them about 10 minutes in there, and that will loosen the skin right off of it. Now once they get mostly cooked, if you have a few bare patches and you do have one of these torches, you can use it, and you'll burn those spots right off of it. Isn't that simple? Now I have those charred. I can go ahead, place them in my sink, give them a quick rinse to wash that skin off, seed them, and get them ready for slicing. Now before I get busy slicing up these chilies, I'm going to have to go ahead and give them a quick rinse to get all that off. And I'm going to show you a neat way to do this where I'll push my finger in the side, pull down, and to open it up, and then just peel back that crown that pulls all of that seed out of it. And so this method works really quick and good. Use cold water, it will help cool these down quick. See how easily that washes off now? Some people would just have a fit. They would say, I'm washing out all the flavor. That is such a lie. These things are so robust with flavor that what little you lose by washing it out this way. Now there's a split that already happened, but you can just usually put your finger in there and pull down, and then just peel it away at that crown. and it gets a little bit more pliable after it has been heated over a burner like that. So it makes it a little easier to use. Otherwise these things are, they'll break when you open them up. There we go. That has been seeded, skinned. It's now ready to be sliced. Perfect. Now I'm going to do the rest of them the same exact way. If you would, do yours the same way as that, and we'll get ready to slice these next. Let's go ahead and get our vegetables all prepped up to make our fajitas. Now, first of all, I want to go ahead and remove the top of this onion right here. And there is some wilting on the outer layer right here that concerns me, so I might end up dispensing of that, some of those outer rings. Other than that, I'm not too worried about it. Now, normally I'll tell you never cut off the root because the sooner you cut it, it starts weeping. But in this case, we're going to make ring slices all the way through. If you want, you can also make half slices on this. That works well also, and it makes a really nice presentation either way. So what I want to do is cut about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch thick round slices, and be very careful when you're doing this because these things like to move around, so you kind of have to steady it and be gentle. Okay, I'm going to go over here, remove that root. 2 more cuts. This outer one is the most dangerous, so get your fingers away from it and just go down. Now, like I said, some of those outer rings are a bit thin. It's mostly on this end. There we go. Okay, see, I don't want that. Poor quality. Or that. There we go. Now, I have these beautiful rings that I can go ahead and cook up. Poblano's simple enough. Go ahead and half it. And I'm just going to make some very simple lengthwise strips about that 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch wide. Okay. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? I've got a few stuck together there a little bit. I'm not cutting very well, am I? Alright. I'm just going to do that to all of these, and if you would, do yours the same way. Now sometimes you'll see me choke up on my blade, and that is to get better roll control on it. I'm pinching it here. Sometimes you'll see my finger up here, but I'm still pinching back here with these 2 fingers in that case. It just depends. Sometimes I pull up on it a little more than usual. It's time that I go ahead and get these peppers cut up. Now what I want to do on these, just to make very simple 1/8 of an inch thick slices, okay? Beautiful. And my thinking here is I want some fresh sweet peppers to have sitting right there next to everything else when it comes time to top those fajitas. And I think lots of color is wonderful, but also I want to keep that color separate one from another. So I'm going to do that to each of these. If you would do the same. Wow, wasn't that easy? And I left one hole of each one, and that way people would know exactly what they're pulling out of. And I will, of course, re-plate these, but for now, that's satisfactory. There we go. Well, it's as simple as this. I am all ready. All I have to do now is cook my meat. The grill, I turned it on to high, and I'm waiting for 2 things to happen. I'm waiting for that wood to start to smolder, and I'm also waiting for the grate to get hot enough, and that way when I put my meat on it, I get that good sear. And I love that. That's a wonderful flavor that you get from that. Now, it's time to relax, okay? Waiting for the grill to heat up. finish marinating on this, just turn it until the grill gets hot enough. And when the chicken is cooked, then I'm going to start with the onion and poblano. We'll get those quickly sauteed up in this pan right here. And once they're sauteed and hot, slice the chicken, put it all together, and you have fajitas, okay? It's all about the cutting up front, getting ready for it. Well, I guess we wait. Have something to drink while you wait. My grill is now producing some good smoke, so I'm going to go ahead and put my chicken on here, get it started. Now we're going to give that just a few minutes on each side. It will not take very long. The chicken is in from the grill. Looks absolutely beautiful. Perfect. Now that was about 4 minutes per side. And when you pound it out, it cooks just like that, and it's even throughout. Beautiful cooking. Over here, I have a pan that's heating on high heat, and I'm trying to get this up to what's called a searing temperature. And that's where you can take a water droplet, throw it in the bottom of the skillet, and it'll just dance around in there, or it'll break into several droplets and dance all around, but it won't quickly evaporate. When it dances around and doesn't evaporate quickly, that's because there's a thing called a vapor barrier. It's a layer of vapor that forms between the pan and that water droplet that prevents it from cooking off too quick. And that's because the pan is hot enough to support that kind of condition. If it's not hot enough, the water droplet will simply quickly evaporate off. You see how quickly this is cooking off? Sizzled off quickly. That is not hot enough for a good sear. So we're going to give it just a moment more, bring it up to a sear temperature, and then I'm going to start cooking my vegetables, both my onions as well as those poblanos. And I'll start with the onions. Now I just keep testing my pan. It's getting close. You see how those droplets are starting to dance around? But they're doing it on the edge, not the center. So I'm going to turn my heat down. And that'll help even out the heat. I want a medium-high flame under it. And that way I get good searing on these vegetables. See how that droplet is just dancing in there? Perfect condition. Let's get rid of him. Put our oil in here. It doesn't take much, just enough to coat the bottom. There we are. On these onions, simple enough. Just go ahead and place them in there. A whole ring if you can. They cook up well like that. Now what I'm looking for is just a nice caramelization on these. We're just looking to turn them soft and sweet. They don't have to be mushy. Keep your heat good and high to get this done. You see how I've got that brown on that one? Beautiful. That's just what I like the most. There we go. They call it caramelization. It makes that onion sweet and delicious. Now, time for those peppers. Now that's a meal fit for a king. Alright, delicious. So let me show you. Everybody likes doing their fajitas a little bit different. First of all, that thing is hot, hot. Now, I like, start with a bit of chicken. I want to put some poblano on there. Poblano is one of my favorite vegetables. It's delicious. Some of that pico de gallo. Oh man, beautiful with the red onion in it. On this one, we'll sprinkle over the top just a little bit of queso fresco. Now, there we have this beautiful chicken fajita, just packed full of flavor. Oh my gosh, tuck that in there. Oh man, the flavor that comes from stuff like this, it's really difficult to describe how good it is. These melding of flavors, robust, intense, sweet, savory, spicy, tangy, everything rolled up into one ball of magnificent flavor. I'll tell you what, you want to try a wonderful meal, you've just got to cook this up. Please do it. If you're watching this thinking, should I do that or not? Trust me, this one's worth the trouble. You're going to enjoy it. And I would like to thank you very much for watching Texas Cooking Today. To my subscribers, thank you. Thank you so very much for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, well, I tell you what, I've got great recipes coming out all of the time. So please do. And that way you can stay on top of what's happening. You folks have a good day. Thank you for watching Texas Cooking Today, the show where you can get great recipes and the best techniques are taught. Please subscribe to Texas Cooking Today, where you will always find something hot and ready to eat.